Welcome back, Soul Family, to Soulversation, the space where we give flowers to the giants who shaped the sound of a generation. I'm your host, Max Soul.
And I'm Mello Soul, ready to journey deep into the power and brilliance of a woman whose voice didn't just top the charts, it changed the culture, changed the very temperature of the room wherever she sang.
Today we're shining the spotlight on the queen, not just of soul, but of grit, grace, and greatness, Ms. Aretha Franklin.
You know, Max, people throw the word icon around a lot, but with Aretha, it doesn't even feel like enough. She was more than just a singer. She was an institution, a walking, breathing pillar of sound and soul.
Straight up, she was the kind of artist whose sound was so powerful it became part of the national consciousness. When Aretha sang, you stopped, you listened, and most importantly, you felt it. Every syllable was sacred. Even the cry of her voice held history.
And she came up in a time when black women were expected to stay in a certain lane. But Aretha didn't just change lanes. She built her own highway and invited the world to ride along with her in a pink Cadillac.
Yep, so buckle in, Soul Fam. This isn't just a tribute. It's a deep dive into artistry, power, and the unapologetic rise of a woman who redefined American music.
This is about the voice, the fight, the force, the one and only Aretha.
Yep, we'll be right back. Welcome back, Soul Family. You're still tuned into Soulversation, and today we're lifting up the Queen of Soul, Ms. Aretha Franklin.
We've talked about her power. Let's talk about her foundation, because that voice didn't just appear. It was forged in the fire of gospel, in the heart of Detroit, in the shadow of greatness.
To understand Aretha's voice, you've got to go back to the roots. Detroit, the church, and her father's pulpit. C.L. Franklin wasn't just a preacher. He was a phenomenon, known as the man with the $1 million voice.
That man's sermons were recorded and sold as records. He was fire in the flesh. And Aretha, she was in the front pews absorbing every drop of it. She heard sermons that sounded like music, hymns that felt like testimony.
Sunday morning fire. That's where her phrasing came from. The ability to move from a whisper to a wail, from heaven to heartbreak in one breath. That's not technique. That's a lived experience.
And she had it early. I mean, prodigy status. She played piano by ear, harmonizing with choirs, rearranging spirituals before she even hit her teens. By 14, she was on the road recording gospel tracks.
She wasn't just a singer. She was already leading, already interpreting, already hearing things most artists couldn't.
And when she crossed over into secular music, she brought all that spirit with her. She never left the church. She just took the church into the studio.
And let's talk about that studio presence. Because Aretha didn't just walk in and wail. She walked in with a vision. She arranged horn lines. She adjusted the mic placements. She knew exactly what she wanted to hear.
She might say, drop that second guitar on the bridge, or give me something dirtier than that on that Rhodes. Aretha wasn't passive. She was a conductor in heels.
She had that internal metronome, an emotional compass like no other. Every breath, every pause, it all served the feeling.
And she knew how to run a session. Bring that snare down a hair. Let the bass ride this verse. She wasn't just the talent. She was the craftswoman.
Yeah, she didn't just sing soul. She built it.
Well, don't go anywhere, y'all. When we come back, Aretha takes her throne and rewrites the rule book.
You're listening to Soulversation. We'll be right back. And we're back with Soulversation. We just unpacked Aretha's gospel roots and studio genius, but now it's time to talk about the takeover.
Because in 1966, she signed with Atlantic Records and everything changed. Jerry Wexler didn't try to control her. He just gave her room to breathe. And when Aretha breathes, the world listens.
Holla. That's when we got respect. Now, let's be clear. That was Otis Redding's song. But Aretha, well, she reimagined it, reconstructed it, reclaimed it. Otis even said, "That girl done stole my song."
Yeah, but she didn't steal it. She rebirthed it. She flipped it from a man's demand to a woman's declaration, and it became a civil rights anthem, a feminist anthem, and an anthem for everyone tired of being stepped on.
Yep, she added that iconic spelling, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, that sock it to me call and response, right? That was her and her sisters, turning harmony into resistance.
Irma and Carolyn. And it didn't stop there. Chain of Fools, Think, Rock Steady, Call Me. She kept dropping songs that hit the heart and the hips.
Yeah, each one a masterclass in soul, swagger, and storytelling. But here's the key. It wasn't just about the music. It was about the moment.
Yes, right. The world was changing. The civil rights movement was pushing forward. Dr. King was marching, and Aretha, she was singing the soundtrack of revolution.
She didn't just sing at rallies. She funded them. She offered to post bail for activists. She stood up with her platform when it mattered most.
She once said, "I've been locked up, and I know you've got to disturb the peace when you can't get no peace." That wasn't a slogan. That was her truth.
And don't forget, she was all business. She got paid cash up front before performing. And, that meant that if you didn't put enough people in her place, right, she's still getting paid, and you as the club owner are losing money. So she changed that whole game completely.
She controlled her image, and she owned her worth. Aretha didn't just demand respect. She modeled it. She turned art into agency.
And let's just quickly touch on the amazing musicians she attracted to her. The Fillmore West live record features some of the most renowned players of our time.
Right, Max, think about this as your band. Cornell Dupree on guitar, Bernard Purdy on drums, Jerry Jamot on bass, Billy Preston on organ, King Curtis on saxophone, and his horn section, the Memphis Horns.
Yeah, I'd just about die and go to heaven with that. So, and don't forget, this is the cool part. So this was essentially King Curtis's band. The only thing they did was swap out the keyboard player because they brought Aretha plays keys, and she brought in
Preston,
Billy. Because he just finished playing with the Beatles. So they were
crossover
trying to
appeal. Yeah,
exactly. So they're trying to get the white audiences in to see Aretha and make the Fillmore a place where everybody can go for every style of music, which they did. You could see Miles Davis on the same bill as the Grateful Dead. Or the Allman Brothers. The mixing and matching at the Fillmore was phenomenal.
And don't forget, Ray showed up on that stage too. The legacy of that record alone is tremendous. And we could do a week just talking about the musicians. But we're out of time for this segment, so we'll be right back.
Right after the break, we're talking legacy, how the Queen's voice keeps echoing through every singer chasing soul.
You're in tune with Soulversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Soulversation. We've crowned the Queen. Now let's talk about her legacy, because Aretha's not just history. She's now.
Facts. You can hear Aretha in the DNA of Alicia Keys, Jennifer Hudson, Fantasia, her, Jasmine Sullivan, artists who sing from the gut, not just the throat.
And they're not just following her sound, right? They're following her example, the business, right? Producing their own records, owning their masters, curating their careers. Well, that's straight out of the Aretha Franklin playbook.
Even Beyonce, Queen in her own right, moves at that same level of artistic control. But Aretha, she was doing that in the 60s in heels, in full glam, with a handbag in one hand and a Hammond B3 in the other.
Right, with that Leslie following right behind.
Yeah.
And we can't forget that opera moment, Nessun Dorma, at the 1998 Grammys. Pavarotti couldn't perform. Aretha stepped in at the last minute. No rehearsal, no warning, and what? She crushed it.
It was gangster.
Yes,
It was totally gangster. That performance made headlines because she broke boundaries. A soul singer singing classical with sovereign grace, that's legacy in motion. And like I said, it's gangster.
Yeah, no, it's some hardcore. She killed it. It was magnificent to watch.
Yeah.
She proved that black music is not one genre. It's everything. Sacred, secular, symphonic, soulful. It's fine art. It's high art.
And beyond the sound, Aretha gave us permission to be bold, to be vulnerable, to take up space without apology.
Yeah, she taught us your voice isn't just what comes out of your mouth. It's your choices, your values, and your vision.
Aretha's voice was a mirror, a sword, a sanctuary.
Coming up, we crown the Queen one last time and pass the mic to what's next.
You're still rocking with Soulversation. Don't move. We'll be right back.
So as we close out the Soulversation, let's remember, Aretha didn't just earn the crown. She redefined what royalty looks and sounds like.
She created a world where the throne isn't inherited. It's earned with soul, sweat, and sound. She proved you could reign with humility and with heat.
Aretha showed us that music is more than melody. It's a message. More than art, it's an agency. And her message always clear, always necessary.
And as long as voices are raised in truth, in power, in soul, Aretha Franklin will never stop echoing through history from wax to waves to wireless.
Right, that's pretty funny. Wax to waves to wireless. I like that. And that's why we do what we do, to remind the world of the legacies we stand on, the ones who open the doors that we now walk through.
And speaking of legacies, next time we'll be turning the groove up to 110%.
Oh, yeah, we're going from the queen to the king. Get ready to drop to the splits and scream like the Godfather himself.
Hey, that's right, because James Brown is up next. We'll be talking funk, fire, and the fierce genius behind one of music's most electrifying lives.
Don't miss it. I'm Max Soul.
And I'm Mello Soul. Until next time,
Peace and soul, y'all.